So it's Vogue knitting time, and wow, the last time I was in Vogue knitting was 2020, right before the pandemic. And I can't believe it's 3 years. Anyway, so excited. It's around 12. We're off to a late start. I've got co-pilot Maia. Okay, rolling eyes. But anyway, let's do it! Hello everybody, this is Margaret from Boboleros and welcome to episode 9. I am trying to be getting this year into a groove, into a pace with podcasting. So thanking you for your patience and for being here tonight. And it is the day after Vogue Knitting Live, and I've got a lot to share. About the trip, about some of the acquisitions I've made, the wonderful people I met and experiences of yesterday. And it's also 2 days before Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but Boboleros is called Boboleros because the bolero is not only a beautiful garment that you can knit and wear. It is something that inspired me to take the jump into the world of podcasting and doing my own knitwear designs and yarn dyeing. But a bolero is also a love song. So as typical in our podcast, I'd like to start off today's episode with an offering of music in love. And I am a classical pianist, and one of my favorite, if not right now, my current absolute obsession, as he has been for most of my life, is the composer Franz Liszt, who was living in the 1800s and wrote incredible music for the piano. And he took a trip to Italy. He got married in his early 20s. He was so dashing, gorgeous, handsome, and just played like no other. And he just was the rock star of the time. So he got married to a princess. That sounds kind of funny, but like very Disney-like. But it wasn't a Disney tale. It turned into a real train wreck of a marriage with the said princess, and she would trash him for years to come. But in that time, they just got married, they were on honeymoon, and they went to Italy. So this time period was about 1830s. And when they got to Italy, Franz was completely absorbed and inspired by the art, the poetry he read in Italy, the landscapes he saw. It's a program that I am doing now as a video series. If you will be interested in that, it's called Magical Moments of Music with Margaret. That's me. And so he wrote a piece inspired by Michelangelo's painting of Mary and Joseph getting married. And it is a very sacred, beautiful, deep, profound painting. It made such an impression on Franz Liszt that he wrote a piece of music inspired by it. And not only is the theme of love something that is part of this piece and obviously part of the painting, but it's also that kind of ideal, divine love. So this is a gorgeous piece of 7 minutes. If you'd like to listen to it, I also have the painting in the beginning of the video so you can get a picture in your mind as you listen. And if not, I'll put a timestamp if you'd like to skip ahead to further knitting. But if you listen to the music, I hope it fills you with joy and love. Okay, so on to the knitting. And right now I am wearing a beautiful pattern. I really enjoyed making this. And this is the Kaleidoscope cardigan by Knit Collage. And for this particular iteration of this pattern, I did use a mixture of Knit Collage yarn and different stash that I had. So you'll find here some loopy mango in, I think, the apricot colorway, in cotton, actually, in the big cotton. And oh goodness, most of the rest of it is actually Knit Collage bits and pieces. I've been a fan of Knit Collage for years. I think I got my first knit kit from their knit-alongs back in 2017 or something like that, and it was the sun woven sweater, which I never quite finished, and so I had a lot of stash left over, which I tried to integrate into this. And so I also used their buttons, and I think I made a crochet trimming in black. And yeah, those were the modifications I made. And this is a sweater that I am glad to have back in my wardrobe because Maia had taken it. My daughter Maia had taken it with her to college, and I'm happy that she loved to wear it, but now I'm happy to wear it again too. So I am wearing Knit Collage because there is a theme here, because we're going to talk about Knit Collage and Vogue Knitting Live in just a second. But any case, yes, if you've ever done any of their knit-alongs, they're so much fun. All their patterns are great and very well written, easy to follow. They have incredible support for new knitters. So Knit Collage cannot say more great things about. So I also want to share with you my one finished object for the week, which I was really happy to make. Give me a second. Because everybody had been talking about this and talking about the Sophie scarf, and I was very late to the party, but I finally did finish mine this week. I cast on, and I think it's just a lovely, darling piece. And for this, I used like half a ball of DK weight yarn by Cozy Knitworks, I think they are called. I'll put them in the below notes. But I also held it with a strand of mohair, and that was from Madeline Tosh in a dark brown, so you can see that it marled very, very nicely. And these are normally shades I'm not really wearing, especially not as we're entering into the spring season. But when I did see this yarn back at the New Jersey Sheep and Wool Festival, I was so astonished how there was a different color for every stitch. They had a little sample in their booth, and I thought, how is it possible to get that sort of effect. And I knew right then and there that this would one day become a Sophie scarf, and here it is. So wonderful pattern, very quick knit. It's just the right size, and it's surprisingly warm. So Maia and I recently have been really syncing up with our projects. And yesterday at Vogue Knitting Live, Maia was with me, and if ever there was a synchronization of shared ideas about what to make and what yarn to buy, and then it was yesterday. So I just want to share with you Maia's Sophie Scarf yarn that she used, and she used from Lamb and Kid, their Juno colorway, and hers came out great. I'll insert a picture of her wearing it because she wore it yesterday. It's just fantastic. I mean, this color is just divine. I had this in my stash. I was doing a 2-color sweater, and I don't think I'm going to finish it. And it was with the Chili in DK, Todd DK, and with Juno, and lovely. I don't know. I cast it on last year. I kind of lost steam, and then maybe brown. I don't know what it was, but I just kind of lost steam. So I think I'm going to frog it, and I think I will repurpose the yarn for other things. And so she did for the Sophie shawl. So all good, all good. I'm not beating myself up about not finishing projects because life is too short. One has to do what one is inspired to do in the moment. Sometimes you just need what you need at the time you need it, and just go. And just go. All right, so that's it for finished objects. There are a couple of works in progress, which I will share after we talk about Vogue Knitting Live. Okay, so Vogue Knitting Live is an event, and it happens in New York City once a year usually. I have been going to Vogue Knitting Live, goodness gracious. I think my first one was probably in about 2001 or 2, when my eldest was just a baby, because I remember we were living in New York City, and I remember taking her in a baby carriage, and we were strolling through Union Square. And it was an outdoor event, Vogue Knitting Live, in those days in Union Square around September. So it was still really nice weather, fashion shows, booths with yarn, and different designers would be there. And it was just a wonderful event. And wow. So just to think how it's now progressed. And so yesterday was the day that we went, and so it was at the Marriott Marquis Hotel, and I had been at the Marriott Marquis Vogue Knitting Live for several of their annual events, and then the last one I was at was the last one they had before the pandemic broke. So it was in 2020, and it was awesome and wonderful, and we had to wait 3 long years to have it back, but it came back with a vengeance in the best possible way. It was wonderful. So yesterday, my usual idea with Vogue Knitting Live is to go on Saturday morning. It's always very crowded. It seems to be like the time to be there, but yesterday I could not due to work obligations in the morning, so we didn't leave until about noontime. By the time we got to New York, got the parking, all that stuff, we probably hit the hotel probably around 1:30 or so, which was okay. We had ample time. They were open until 6, so more than enough time to browse, etc., etc. And it was just incredible to see all the vendors. I'll try to insert some of the footage. I had the best intentions actually to film a lot. I did not film as much as I wanted to. Number one, it was just kind of awkward to have the camera and, like, you know, shooting things, and Maia was next to me and she's like, "Mom, you're so embarrassing." Yeah, so for those reasons I kind of had to curb it, but there were just some incredible things all the time. Vendors beautiful yarn. And so our first stop, this kind of will go hand in hand with the acquisitions, stash acquisitions, etc., etc. So, we were just stunned by everything. Everything was just over the top for us. Maia was on a time crunch because she did have to study, and so she only had a couple of hours. So we had to really be strategic with what we would stop at. And so we didn't really have a plan, but we did have a time issue. So we couldn't really linger as much as we would like to. But in any case, the vendors were extraordinary. The yarn, the knit pieces that we saw were out of this world. So I will just start with saying, and I forgot to bring the sample of what we got, but it was this wonderful, okay, so it wasn't even yarn. The first acquisition we got was cream for the skin. And it was Hawaiian Moon Aloe or something like this. I put it in the comments below. So dry skin, whatever. I have so much with dry hands and all this stuff, and so we got pulled into that booth. Do you want to try a sample? And the next thing, the nice lady is giving me a full-out hand massage. I'm like, oh, you don't have to do that. I never asked for a hand massage. I felt so bad, just spending 10 minutes hand massaging me, and Maia too. And so anyway, long story short, it was very nice cream. We ended up making our first purchase at that booth. Okay, and then we were going, out there. There are 2 floors, and there's so much to see, and it could be really just over the top and overwhelming. And again, everything was just beyond and beyond. So at some point, we did go and pass by the Knit Collage booth. And again, I have a lot of Knit Collage in my stash, and one day I will do a stash video and show you how I kind of keep my stash more or less together. But yeah, it's in my mind. I could forget everything, what I had for breakfast, or I forget names of people all the time. But ask me for a colorway and something I have in my stash, I will not only tell you the color, I will tell you where I bought it, what is the fiber content, what is the base, where it is in the cabinet. It's almost like a mental Dewey Decimal System in my mind for yarn. It's really ridiculous. I don't even know. I think I have the yarn brain and then the rest of the brain for everything else. And the yarn brain is high functioning. Anyway, so I say, yeah, I have a ton of Knit Collage, but Maia sees something, and it was probably their dream yarn or Spun Cloud, and it was beautiful color, and so she's all into it. And then they had a lot of finished sweaters on their rack, and they're all glorious. And I am always a sucker for companies like Loopy Mango and Knit Collage, because when it is a bulky, fast knit, it's striking, it's fun to make, it doesn't take months and months, and I'm about the fast knit sometimes. Not to say I don't do the longer haul, like the long haul flights, the ones that take a long time. Those knits that you do it on a fingering weight and you do like a colorwork sweater, I will do those, but not as much. Why? Because I think personally you get more bang, at least in my, again, this is so personal, but I get more bang for the buck with a bulkier weight project. It's just, if I name the sweaters that I have spent months on and that I wear, usually it's not a standout piece, and people won't really even notice that it's hand knit sometimes. But if I were like something like this, which took maybe a week, it was a very fast project. It is always a conversation piece. That's not to say you knit for that reason, but it always makes a statement. And I like statement pieces. I guess you have to know what you like. And so right now I'm into the fast and bulky knits. So I start looking through the rack. I see this one sweater and I'm like, Maya, look at this. And she looks at it and we're both like, oh, what is that? And we freaked out. Well, Vanessa, beautiful Vanessa from Knit Collage, was there and helped us out. And what it was the gumdrop sweater. And it was knit out of, okay, wait for it. This. Okay. This happiness, this like cupcake that's actually yarn, is called Serendipity, and it's in a colorway by Ken Yarns, and I was not familiar with this. Maya did see like a promotion for this, and she knew it was a collab. I had no idea about it, but when I saw these colors, I just said, goodness gracious, this just has to happen. And both of us were just slayed. I mean, we were swooning over this sweater. It requires 3 skeins of the Serendipity, which I believe in total is about 450 yards. Knits up on, I think it is a 13 needle. And so when we got home yesterday, it was around 10 o'clock at night, and I was just hyped up. It was just so much action for the day. It was just so much good times that I just said, okay, I'm going to cast on. So Maya said, you know what? I think I'm going to cast on too. So the studying took a back seat. Okay, I don't even know how this happened, because I cast on at 10 p.m. last night, and we are less than 24 hours later, and look at, I got this far. I can't even believe it myself. I just am stunned. I can't stop knitting this. And I mean, I put the needles down at 1 in the morning, and by 1 o'clock I had already split for sleeves. It's unbelievable. Anyway, there is something just so gratifying about seeing every stitch is like a different piece of confetti, and light as a feather, and so happy. I love it. It's almost got a pixelated quality when you put it on. This pink, anything that's like a taffy pink is right now, it just brings me so much happiness. I don't know. This is what I feel like knitting right now, and so let it roll. Let it roll. I love it. I've already made some modifications to this. One of the things that I started to notice is that I didn't want it to be too boxy and wide, and so I started with the 13, and after I split for sleeves, I kept going down another needle size, and I finally got to a 10, and I'm about this far down. And now I think my current strategy is to decrease about 24 stitches. I've got like 70 something stitches right now, but my idea is to make maybe 3 or 4 inches of ribbing, so it kind of stays close, hugs the body on the bottom, and let it be a little bit poofy on the high part. That's my intention. So right now I'm decreasing in order to be able to be all in position for the ribbing, which will happen in 2 inches, which means like 8 rows. So this is flying, literally flying, and it's gorgeous, and I hope to show it to you guys next week as a finished object. So scrumptious. And so that was our major yarn purchase, was this yarn to make this sweater. Maia's already doing her raglan shaping, so she's all in. And it's kind of nice, like knitting together, even though she's in school now. I mean, I think it kind of eggs us on to like, okay, who's did you knit it? Did you knit it? How far are you? So it's nice to have knitting buddies. Speaking of knitting buddies, this has got to be the best part. It's the highlight for me, for all of Vogue Knitting. The best part is the people. The best part, hands down, as great as the yarn is, as great as everything is, it's the people. I got a text the night before from Peg, and Peg, she said, I can't wait to meet you. And I said, you know what? I can't wait to meet you too. And it happened yesterday. And so like, this is the community that knitting is that somehow through this medium of podcasting, through this craft, you just flock together like birds of a feather. It's so amazing. And so here's a picture with Peg, who is absolutely stunning in every way. The most fabulous knits and style, personality. I was so happy to connect, like that time, like when you just connect with somebody. And that goes with so many of the people that I've met through this podcast. And it's incredible. It's a miracle. People like Leslie Friend, a friend to knit with. What an amazing person. And Leslie sent me a pattern for one of her beautiful designs, the toast mittens, because she thought I needed it for piano playing, and I do. I mean, what a friend. Thank you. And Deidre, and I met Liz, and these are people that I feel so blessed to know. And even though we haven't met, you just feel so connected, like you're part of something way bigger. And it's absolutely, Kasarina girl, all you guys, I just love you, and I just appreciate you so much, and I thank you for this community, which is the greatest thing possible. The greatest thing possible. So the highlight was the people. And then I saw my beautiful friends, Jackie Rose and Debbie Korb, and that was just the icing on the cake. They're so beautiful. Oh my gosh, when I saw those Sunday shrugs, guys, when I saw those Sunday shrugs, I said, this is like another level. And I mean, the Saturday shrug is beautiful, and so many of us have already knit our Saturday shrugs. I'm currently working on my second one, and it's using just one strand of mohair and this middle contrast. I've talked about it last time, so I'm not going to go into it, but you could look at the show notes from last week for all the details. But this is for my Saturday shrug, which I think will be really nice, like black and white kind of piano. I'm calling this Steinway. And schnauzers, because I have a schnauzer that you might hear snoring. Coco, the schnauzer, snoring away, who's gray and like salt and pepper, so reminds me of that. But when I saw the Sunday shrugs, and Jackie's wearing her lime green and black number, and with her amazing like plaid outfit, and I mean, she looks so cool. I mean, and then Debbie, divine Debbie Korb, holy cow, wearing one that was gifted to her for her birthday. Happy birthday, Debbie. How is it that people could get better and better looking with every passing year? I don't know, but you are a stunner, like a total stunner. Goodness, she had a shrug that Jackie made for her in, I believe it was dark blue. I think it was three dog. It's a colorway by Lamb Kid, and also like a oatmeal color. And I have some pictures here.
Stunning.
The pictures, the lighting wasn't good there. Like, we were in weird positions, and so these aren't really great pictures. I apologize for that, but we did the best we could. But anyway, just to say, that got me completely fired up for the Sunday Shrug, which is a thicker weight version. So it's using, instead of DK or worsted, it's using bulky plus the big birdie, which is, I think, an Aran weight. So this makes like a super bulky. So it, number one, goes way faster, because I think you're now going around, instead of 100 something stitches, like 120 something stitches, you're only doing 70 something stitches around. So you're getting like a bigger, thicker gauge. It reminds me of a shrug that I knit years ago. And when I say years ago, I mean literally years ago. It must be at least 10 years ago. And this was kind of like, it's very thick. And I remember at the time I was holding double, like 2 Aran weights, which would make probably the same kind of fabric as the Sunday Shrug. This was, I think, a Malabrigo or something. And it is luscious. Maybe let me put it on for you. I knit it because my friend Susan at the time, who was like, I've talked about Susan, my knitting friend, like inspiration from the past. She just had the most glorious knits all the time, and everything she knit, everybody wanted. She just was one of those types of people. So, oh, sorry about that. But anyway, this is that shrug, and I can't remember this pattern, but I only show this to say that the Sunday Shrug, I want to like just show you, like, when it's done in this thick kind of weight, it just lies so well, because it just hugs you, and it is dense, and it stands up on itself, so you feel like old Hollywood, like very glamorous with this, very, very glamorous. This is obviously using some kind of seed stitch here. There was a ribbing, which seems like a 2x2 rib, and then you carry up the ribbing here. I don't remember who designed this. I thought it was, I don't know who it is, actually. I put something similar to it in the show notes below, but I might do a version of this Sunday Shrugs, because I'm going to do 2. So after seeing Debbie's yesterday, the one with the dark blue 3 Dog Night or something like that, again, I'm like, what is that colorway? But, and the oatmeal, I said, that has to happen. So I was naughty. I ordered at the Lamb Kid at the Dye to Order event today. I did it. And I ordered that kit. So I'm going to make a Sunday Shrug in that, but I'm going to make this iteration of the shrug with the seat stitch below and stuff like that. I'm just going to try to copy what I did here, and I'm going to do it in yarn. Okay, let me show you my colors, because I was thinking long and hard about this, and I would like to know your thoughts. So I wear this watch only recently because my clock broke in my teaching studio, and so I never know what time it is. And so I said, I don't wear iPhone watch or whatever you call it, Apple thing. Although I love Apple products, and I am as technically as much of a techno geek as you could get. But a watch is something I don't have from Apple. But I said, let me find that watch that my husband gave me. So he got me this cool watch like years ago, and I'm trying to. Who made it? I can't even tell. Nomos or something like that. He was on a business trip in Germany, and he got me this watch, and so it got the yellow dial, and then it has like this khaki green. It doesn't really read that way, but it's like a khaki brownish green. And as I'm like teaching and I'm looking at the time, I'm thinking, I'm really enjoying this process of looking at my watch, mostly because I really love the way these two colors vibe together. So I went to the dye pots today. I had to fulfill some orders because right now on the Bobolero's website there are some kits available, and so I was dyeing some orders up, and then I said to myself, I said, you know what, I need to get me those two colors together for a shrug. So this is what I did. The yellow. Look at, it's still wet, that's why I still have this stuff, but look at the yellow. Do you think? Yes? It's a match? Yellow. Oh my gosh. Yes, yellow. And this was hard to achieve this color because it's an odd color, but I think I got it. It's kind of like an ivy. It's like a browny, greeny, kind of khaki, camo-y. What do you think, guys? Yes. And yes, it's a little variegated. And I'm super excited. This yellow is rocking. I just love these colors together. I think it's going to make a really cool shrug. Maybe I'm just going to do a Sunday shrug and just do the stripes, because that'll just be the easiest way for these two colors, I think, to render together. So I changed my mind. I'm not going to do the other shrug. I'm going back to the Sunday shrug. Yay! Anyway, so if you're interested in this, there is on the website, on boboleros.com, if you go to shop, there is a button for a custom order. So just, follow the instructions if you're interested in me dyeing up some colors for you. All right, so that is that. Let me talk about some other fun little acquisitions. Okay, there was one last thing we got yesterday at Vogue Knitting Live, and I just want to show you that. And where did I put it is the big question. Where did I put that skein? It was a really cute skein. We stopped at Ching Fibers, and they had a colorway just for Vogue Knitting Live. And is this not cute, the most adorable? It's called Caterpillar. And we got one skein each in mohair. And it's just so lovely with the lime green, and then with these speckles. It just, it's got the springtime vibes. Very romantic here, and then very cool and hip here, like very electric and very springy. So that might become a, Maia always is talking about this pattern, the Phantom Fuzz, but I don't know. Now that I have experienced how lovely the pattern is for the gumdrop, I think I'm going to swatch and see if I could use the gumdrop pattern and do something with the mohair, or the mohair held with a single strand of fingering. And I think I have some leftover lime color or something. I'll figure it out. I'm going to experiment. But what I love about the gumdrop pattern is that the raglan shaping starts right away. So you literally cast on for the collar and you're going already into the raglan shaping. I think that's unusual, because usually I'm used to doing a bit more on the yoke and then going into raglan, but it's And I think this is what lifts the garment, which I really appreciate. So I love that pattern. It feels like it goes very quickly. So I think I will be using that. Okay, and in some other little acquisitions that I got, you might notice my earrings. So those were gotten yesterday, and these are crochet earrings, and they're designed by Jasmine, and I do have the link down below. And you know what? I have always wanted a pair of earrings by Jasmine, and we saw those yesterday and they couldn't be cuter. So I got these. They had actual skeins of yarn, mini ones dangling. They were so cute. So Maia got like a peachy skein of that. Couldn't be any cuter. And what else? Oh, this is not really like at Vogue Knitting Live, but it's all related. Why? Because on the topic of Debbie Korb, her beautiful sister, the two beauties, the Korb sisters, two creative wonders and so lovely. I mean, the loveliest people. So Susie Korb has a business named Pittsburgh Mercantile, which you probably have heard Caddy Jacks talk about them at length. And anyway, I guess for about a year or two now, been purchasing from Pittsburgh Mercantile. I'm trying to get the box open. Like literally yesterday, we had Happy Meal. Well, no, not a Happy Meal. A Happy Mail day when we got back from Vogue Knitting Live, and we had some Happy Mail from Pittsburgh Mercantile. So, yeah, I couldn't help myself. Because, like, the earrings are just so fantastic. And, oh, this is my first time looking at these because I waited until the podcast to open this with you. Look at these. Ooh. Whoa. Like, this is such a story. I feel like knitting something specially just for these earrings. It has to be something like that just makes the earrings be the story. Oh, aren't these stunning? They're so beautifully presented on these handmade note cards as well. These colors are so beautiful. I apologize, the lighting isn't great. I had to wait till the evening to podcast today, but I think these are the Floribunda or something earrings. Fantastic. And then, oh goodness gracious, yes. Well, Maia saw the little disco ball earrings, so she got the 3 teardrop ones. And I got the 1 teardrop ones. Yeah, the second one is here. So aren't these so cute? So here we go. Glitter and shine all the time. Why not? Every day's a party, right? Every day's a party. And so that's it. You know, it was such a fun week. It was a week of resetting. It was a week of creating. It was a week of kind of getting out of the usual, going into the city and meeting people and meeting new people. It's just such fun thing. So anyway, with that, I close, and I thank you so much for being here, for joining the journey, and for just this time where we can indulge in our makes and our creativity, share what we're inspired by. And I would love to hear from you. What yarn or colors or garment or pattern has you totally feverishly knitting right now? Like I shared about this gumdrop sweater being one of the things that I don't think I've ever devoured a project so quickly. I'm surprised myself. I've never gotten this far on a sweater in less than a day, and I wouldn't consider myself a fast knitter. I do knit continental, but I don't know. This is somehow just going so fast. I don't really know why, but I think it's because I want it so badly. Like, I crave it. Like, you want to eat it. It's so delicious. So, do you have a project like that on your needles currently? Something that you just want to eat up that's got your attention and your desire just baked into it? What is it? I would love to know. So, have a wonderful week. I'm so happy to spend this time with you. And please join in next week for another episode of Vogue Knitting.